Welcome to Wizards Institute, the #1 community to learn smart investing and financial independence.
William Bean is a general partner at Accelerator VC SOSV, the #2 most active angel and seed stage investor in the world in 2019, with US $700 million under management. He is the managing director of China Accelerator, the first accelerator to launch in Asia and the only one to have a unicorn come through its program in Asia. He is also founder and managing director of MOX, the mobile-only accelerator, as one of the most active early-stage venture investors in the world, investing in many technology verticals. We discuss how SOSV sees the pandemic playing out, how their portfolio companies are adjusting, and where they see the most promising investment opportunities in the post-corona world.
The idea is to get a book out in the next few months that, if you're running a family office for yourself, if you're a family office manager, you're trying to allocate money post-COVID, how you would allocate it. So last night on a normal Wednesday, we have Bobby Lee. I'm sure you know him. But I'm trying to talk to as many smart people in asset classes, in geographies as possible, so that we get viewpoints and incorporate that into the investment strategy. So the larger audience will come through that. And today is more of just a discussion amongst friends. Hey, Arun. Arun is a new friend that does real estate. So I want to keep it high level and maybe engaging. This is a small group. Maybe we'll make it more interactive, right? So I think most of you guys know William's background. I think when I last saw you, which is back in Shanghai, you guys were $500 million. You're now at 700 million, right? Are you even bigger than that now? SOS Ventures?
Yeah. No, AUM is 700 million. We closed our Fund 4, which is actually our third fund, in December last year. We're about 1 year in, 18% drawdown so far. The new fund is 277. Our target was 250. So happy to say we're oversubscribed because the last fund was undersubscribed.
That's awesome. And I think you guys have an evergreen. Is that correct? Or is it a portion of it's evergreen?
No. The first fund started off as a family office. So it was evergreen. It started off in 1996 and went to 2014. And yeah, that was evergreen. All the money that came back, or almost all the money came back, was then reinvested. It was Sean. So SOSV is the name of the fund, and SOS is Sean O'Sullivan. His is family office. So he started with $7 million from his exit from his first startup, MapInfo, and turned that into $450 million.
Got it.
So if you have a box and you put an address into it and it shows up as a dot on a map, he invented that.
That's awesome. Okay. Now then, I know that I think you've got 8 general partners, and each of you also run a certain vertical in the accelerator. I know you've got the China Accelerator, which I think is the largest in China. And then you also do MOX, which is mobile, right? Can you talk us through those two, but then the other verticals that your partners also look after?
Yeah, sure. So we're a little bit of a weird fund in that we're global. So all the partners invest globally. Okay. Usually with a global fund, you have different partners focus on different geographies. The second thing is we have multiple verticals. So hardware, food tech and ag tech, biotech, and then I run internet and software. And then the third thing is we're early stage. So it's not just about money, obviously. It's about how you deliver value to the startups. The way we do that is through accelerators. So China Accelerator is the first accelerator to launch in Asia, 2010. So it's our 10-year anniversary. And then it's for enterprise and China market entry. And then MOX is mobile accelerator. It's consumer, focused on India, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, South Asia. So what we help with is startups from all around the world. And then in Asia, we help them expand to Asia. And then if they're in Asia already, we help them grow up in their home market and then expand cross-border within Asia. we're focused on the mobile first, mobile only, or kind of like the big markets, China, India. We don't really care that much about Hong Kong or Singapore or like Japan is not really our focus.
Okay. So I was checking out your website. There's actually a lot of good stuff on the website. There's like a 70-page PPT talks about a deep tech, right? Can you talk us through the SOS, the sort of the platform strategy pre-COVID, and whether you think there's any changes in terms of, you mentioned early stage, in terms of the sector themes, but also geographic themes, and again, whether there's any changes to it since COVID happened.
Okay, so
what are sort of the big macro bets that you guys are betting on?
Yeah, so we basically focus on new areas. So we started the first accelerator in Asia. We started the first hardware accelerator in the world, and we're the most active investor in hardware in the world, most active in IoT and robotics. And that's 2012. And then we did the same thing with biotech, and the same thing with food tech and ag tech. So we try and go early into kind of new areas that we believe there's a lot of opportunity in. And then as investors, we believe that tech, especially deep tech, has the ability to create change. So you can change business model, you can make things more efficient. But as early stage investors, what we're trying to do is leverage tech to make a big change, and hopefully make a big gain. So we're very active in AI. We don't invest in AI companies. We invest in companies that use AI to solve problems. And the same thing, like CRISPR is pretty revolutionary. We've got a bunch of companies that are leveraging CRISPR to do all sorts of things. For example, we have and I am not scientific, okay, I'm the internet guy, but we have some sort of little CRISPR, well, we have this little delivery system, and you can put drugs inside, and then it'll go into cells without, go into cells without getting rejected, or so by your body's like natural defense system, or it can go into your bloodstream. But this delivery package right now, it's being used to deliver anti-cancer, like chemotherapy, but targeted. So you don't have all those side effects. But we can also put CRISPR gene therapy inside, and actually it'll go in, and you can use this to deliver the package without the current side effects. A lot of the side effects are like your body is rejecting it, because I think right now they're using viruses or something else to deliver the CRISPR package in. So I'm sure I screwed up like half of the shit. I'm not scientific at all, but we have some fun stuff. I'll just give you one more example that's not mine. So we are the most active investor in laboratory grown meat, or clean meat, basically meat without the animal. So we have milk without the cow, pork without the pig, beef without the cow. And one of the biggest problems on the planet is feeding it. As people get more money, they eat more meat. I don't think it's really possible to stop that. But right now it takes about 35 calories of grain to create 1 calorie meat protein. And you have all the pesticides in the water and to make all the grain. And then you have the animal with the hormones and the antibiotics, and then the shit and the gas that comes out of the animal. So what we're trying to do is give people the meat that they want, that they're going to buy anyway, but do it in a way that is more scalable and more sustainable. So it takes about 3 to 5 calories of grain to make 1 calorie of meat protein. So it's about a 10x improvement. And the thing's moving faster than Moore's law. So you put the stem cell into the culture, and again, I'm not scientific, but basically it looks like a giant beer vat, and then you feed it culture. And the cost of the culture and the whole system is moving a lot faster than Moore's law. So soon our laboratory grown meat should be a lot cheaper than the veggie burgers, and a lot cheaper than actual meat from animal. Should be in the market in a couple of years. We already have milk without the cow in the market in the US. Perfect day, we did a limited distribution of our milk as ice cream. So we also took out the lactose while we were at it. And so this is a deep tech that has an impact.
This lab grown meat, where is it? This lab grown meat company, what is it, and what's it called, and where is it out of?
So we have probably the most famous is Memphis Meats, which 2 or 3 months ago closed 160 mil from SoftBank and others.
Yeah,
Perfect Day
yeah.
is out of Ireland, backed by Temasek and a bunch of others. We have Geltor, which makes gelatin, which is a building block ingredient, but without all the hooves and other animal parts that are used to traditionally make gelatin. So we have about 25 portfolio companies in the space.
I know Memphis Day and Perfect, those first two. I did not realize that's yours. You guys seeded those projects?
Yeah, they all came out
That's
of
amazing.
our accelerators. They all came. No, all of our companies that we invest in go through the accelerator program. So we're getting in at like $1 million valuation, and then we are a VC fund, so that we continue to support and follow on as long as we can. One of my favorite is Sun Genomics. So basically, you poop on a stick, and it measures your gut biome. And living in China for 20 years, my gut is all screwed up. So it gave me a rating, just like 23andMe. It gave me a rating, 100% scale. My gut was a 31. Like people who are 18 are in the freaking hospital about to die. My gut was a 31. And there's a list of 29 different nasty bugs living inside of me. I had 3 types of E. coli living in my gut. And I'm sure that's not good. I don't know, maybe E. coli is a good thing. I have no idea, but I don't think it's good. Anyway, and then they make personalized probiotics that target all the crap that's in my gut specifically. And within like 4 days of eating these like little probiotic pills, like I could crap for the first time in like a decade properly. So I don't know. There's seeing is believing. I'm not going to show you, but it's some of this stuff is pretty wild. Because I've been taking like the yogurt pills that you get in the pharmacies or whatever. The shit never did anything. Literally, but highly recommend some of this stuff because I mean, you could tell you go to the bathroom, and now I go to the bathroom on a much more regular schedule.
That's awesome. Again, Felix runs again the entrepreneurship program at the University of Guelph, which is a spinoff of University of Toronto, but the #1 ag university in Canada. And so we've been talking about the space as you. I think we talked
Awesome.
briefly about it last year. So this agri-food tech side, I know a bunch of it's out of FoodX, but you guys also invest out of the fund, or is it just out of New York? Can you talk a bit more about the platform there and that vertical? It's a very exciting vertical.
Yeah. Sorry. I really apologize because our fund structure is not traditional and it's quite complicated. So we have 8 brands. They're all printed on the back of my T-shirt. I'm not going to spin around, but basically so the SOSV is the fund, okay, and then we have the accelerators are wholly owned subsidiaries underneath. All the investments that are invested from SOSV, and then they go through one of the 6 programs that we have. So we started the first independent food tech, ag tech accelerator in the world, I believe. I think there were some corporate ones before us, but we were like the first independent one. In New York, FoodX, I think it was 2014. And, it's future of food. So we do have some CPG, consumer products, but it's like 70% tech. According to TechCrunch, Crunchbase, and CB Insights, we're the #1 most active investor, a VC in food tech and ag tech in the world in terms of number of companies. I can give you a couple of examples if you want, but we invest, we make them live with us for 3 months up to 6 months, and then we invest again. So one is, so everybody always talks about food waste, and they think it's like, restaurants dumping shit out the back, or they think it's like people like not finishing the food on their plate. I had no idea, but the surprising thing is most of the food waste in the world actually happens inside the giant grain elevators, where the grain inside the elevator rots, right? And so traditionally you would send some poor guy in there with a pole, like poke around, trying to figure out whether the thing's going bad. So we have these little, this company called Amber, amber, and they have these little sensors that measure humidity and temperature. And when you're filling the grain elevator, you just throw a bunch of these things in there, and it automatically sends out the readings, so you can figure out whether your grain is going the wrong way, and you can take steps. So that's where like most of the food waste in the world is actually from rotting in storage, as opposed to in the supply chain or in the end user in the restaurants. Another company, for our side. In India, we're, as of last year, the top 10 most active VC in India. I did like 26 investments there in the last couple of years. So you got all these mom and pop restaurants, right? In fact, most of all the restaurants in India are mom and pop, like 95, 99% of them. It's kind of hard for them to create multiple chains, because there's so many. One of the problems is like, on average, you have 400 ingredients that they're buying in the local market from 50 different vendors, and then all the recipes are stored up in their head. So we can't help them with their recipes, but we are trying to digitize them. And so they're just putting their orders onto a really simple digital online sort of spreadsheet, and they can see what they bought. They kind of can see what they have. And the key thing is that we're group buying. We're basically consolidating their orders. So as soon as they come on the system and they put their existing vendors on there, we have a pretty immediate impact. In fact, we're increasing their profit by 70%, in the first month, because they're getting better prices for all the stuff they're buying. They're not buying consumer volumes. They're taking advantage of the group buy almost. So it's a software platform. It's a marketplace, and it doesn't really change people's habits so much, but it's a big benefit to them. So, and we're cutting out, like in India, as with most emerging markets or developing markets, there's like way too many middlemen. Okay, so we just cut out a couple people in the middle. The brands and the food providers are happy. The restaurants are happy, and actually now they can scale for the first time. And these guys, they're adding like a lot of restaurants until COVID hit. The last one I'll tell you about for food is also one of our companies. So I had no idea about the coffee industry. So as a side note, all the coffee sellers in the world don't trust China because they all got ripped off by Chinese people in the past. So you basically, they would order the coffee and you pay half up front and half on the delivery, and the Chinese people never paid the second half. So nobody will sell coffee to the Chinese. So there's like 3 or 4 very large state-backed companies that pay up front, get all the coffee for China. So we started a marketplace here in China, because we're not Chinese, so people think that we're more trustworthy, and I'd like to say that we're more trustworthy than the Chinese coffee vendors. And I had no idea, but between the farmers who take their coffee beans to the washing stations, where usually the fermentation happens, and the roasters, like Starbucks is a big roaster, but like Blue Bottle or in Canada, I don't know what you got, but basically the people who roast the beans and then grind them and make them into coffee, there's on average 8 middlemen, like 8 of them. So you've got the farmers making $2 a kilo, and the roasters paying $36 a kilo. And then there's all these idiots in the middle. So we created an exchange. Basically, you put the coffee on the exchange, and people can buy it. They pay usually a third up front, a third on the way, and then a third when they receive it. But actually, people trust us now, so they're just paying for the coffee, and then we're sending it. We cut out the middlemen, so that the farmer is making double, so 2x. Okay, the roasters are paying 30% less. We're taking 20% in the middle. Now, if we bring Starbucks on this thing, we're not going to be taking 20%. But this is having a positive impact.
Great.
Like the governments love it, because like, oh shit, you're going to get like my farmers 2x the revenue for the same beans. So we've got the entire coffee crop of Rwanda on here. In fact, Alibaba is always talking about their Rwanda coffee project, but we actually are the people running that because the Rwandans can't understand Alibaba.
Interesting. I'm trying to get Brian Wong to be one of the speakers, so I'll ask him about that. Hopefully, when he does come on, he's the guy that's looking after Africa. Yeah. Hey, I want to go back up to strategy. I know your fund is sort of different. So maybe I won't ask about the fund. I ask about your thinking. 700 million. If it were completely up to you, and I know it's not. How are you allocating that money from a geographic and especially sector standpoint? How would you allocate that money?
Okay, so
because I know at the accelerator you spend very little money at the accelerator level. It's really right, because you each startup you give like 30,000 cash and 50,000 in services. So that 700 million actually is a lot of money. How are you spending that, and why?
Yeah, well. So now I'm giving 150 to 170 total. So 105 to 125 cash. I kind of grew a little bit. And then 45 is service.
All right.
And then
so,
in terms of perks, we offer 1 point. Well, yeah, it kind of got bigger. When I started last time, I saw you had like 5 people on my team. Now I've got 28 full time. Which is a little weird for a VC fund. But anyway, so there's more cash. We're a little bit later stage. But the allocation is, it's interesting. So the allocation is actually by partner and by vertical, because the partners are associated with the verticals. So we all invest globally, but we break it down by vertical. And if one of the partners wants to go into somebody else's vertical, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. But it's really by partners. And then, I got a unicorn in the last fund. And so my allocation went up because I didn't screw up last time.
Is that the blockchain one?
Yeah, it's a blockchain fintech. It's called BitMEX. It used to be the #1 most largest crypto exchange in the world by trading volume. Now it's a #2. Behind your investment finance.
We talked about it last night. It's the Warren guy, African American guy, right?
Yeah.
Runs out of Hong Kong. Yep. That's good.
Yeah, Hong Kong, San Francisco. Yeah, so their revenues on their website. So they did 400 million in the last year. It's almost all profit. So on a PE basis, the company is arguably worth somewhere between 5 and 10 billion. And when you come in on a $1.2 million pre-money, the founders are very happy. They own 94%, and we have the rest for our 80K investment. At the time, it was 80K investment. So it's a good model, and that covers up all the mistakes I made for the last 20 years.
Sorry, William. I'm going to stop you. So 80K, I think you got 6% undiluted, right?
Well, they never raised any more money because nobody would fund them, even though they were profitable and doing 100K a month.
So you got 6%. So you got 6% of that deal for 80K.
I can't actually comment, but at the time, our standard deal was around there. Yeah,
I remember it was not only 6%.
You get 80K.
It's non-dilutive shares. That's amazing, man. Congratulations.
Well, they never fundraised. Yeah. They went. So they were launched 9 months before they came into the accelerator. They're doing about 200, and this is public. They were doing $250 a week in revenue after 9 months, and we helped them focus instead of on corporate and institutional, on retail. So we basically taught them how to do YouTube videos and thought leadership and online marketing. And so in a 12-week period, they went from $250 a week in revenue to $11,000 a week in revenue and profitable. And then there's only 3 of them. They used to sit over there, and basically they kept on going. And then they won #1 startup in Hong Kong at Tech in Asia, Hong Kong, and then Tech in Asia is like TechCrunch of Asia. And then they won #1 startup in all of Asia 2016 at the Singapore Tech in Asia. But nobody would fund them, even though they were doing 100K a month and almost all profit. Yeah, it's a kind of a weird interesting company. It's not normal.
No, no,
Usually you
I
don't
know the
have
I know the
startups
company.
like that.
I did not realize it was
Yeah.
you that did that deal. I'm sorry. I should have known. We know the company well.
It's
That's
okay.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I didn't know CZ was our poker buddy. I had no idea. This CZ was like the guy who was playing poker in our poker group until like more recently. I saw him for dinner last year. So nice guy.
Yeah. Okay. So
yeah.
let's come back to the sector allocation. So
go ahead.
Say 700 million. How would you, again, not necessarily the firm, how would you allocate by tech sector? Just curious.
So I mean, we basically allocate it by who's doing well. So if people are making money in a sector,
Okay.
we put more money into it. It sounds kind of weird, but if people are not doing well in a sector, if the sector is underperforming, they don't get more money. So I would guess it's based on whether you can make money in the sector.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
The problem with early stage and the problem with emerging technology in early stage is that you don't want to be too early, right? So, we were early in China and as cross-border, like foreigners in China, we were early. We were like way too early. And actually you can argue that we shouldn't even be here doing cross-border in China. But the first 5 years of China Accelerator before I showed up, was a shit show. Foreigners in China all got their asses kicked. And then basically now our whole cross-border thing is actually working. We don't do companies in China unless they have an unfair advantage. And that unfair advantage is usually coming from international. For example, one of our companies, UShopL, runs J&J Aveeno. If you're in the US or most places, Aveeno is like a pharmacy, like skincare brand, right? We run high-end makeup from like Caudalie from France. So we 6x'd Aveeno in the first year in terms of sales. We 8x'd 800% growth in sales for Caudalie. So our unfair advantage is that the Chinese guys don't have the relationship with J&J. They don't have the relationship with Caudalie. Most of the Europeans don't trust the Chinese guys. So we have an unfair advantage there. And that's how we've done okay with China Accelerator and cross-border. So we don't, the allocation is really based on whether the performance is happening. So Future of Food and FoodX, we shut down like 6 accelerators, right? So FoodX has survived. It hasn't grown that much, but it hasn't really shrunk because, when we went into Future of Food in 2014, it was probably a little bit too early. But all you hear about these days is food. And we're starting to get some decent results out of that. The biotech stuff just took off. Biotech started as the same allocation as everybody else, and now biotech is massive for us.
Wow.
New York State just gave us a $25 million grant. It's like a grant, not an investment. $25 million grant to put IndieBio in New York.
Wow.
And so,
wow.
So
that's
they
for
put money in the
FoodX?
fund on top of that, right?
Sorry, is that into the fund or into
for
the? Got it.
No, that's
Wow.
a grant to SOSV, to IndieBio to set up IndieBio was founded in San Francisco, but now it's in New York, and so it's the world's first. We're the world's first therapeutics accelerator, drug discovery accelerator. So yeah, it's deep tech, and it's not a normal way of doing things. How do we accelerate drug discovery? Because right now it takes a lot of money and a lot of time. So how do we make that faster? How do we make that cheaper? How do we make that more efficient? And how do we decentralize it so that the big guys aren't controlling everything?
Okay, maybe we talk about countries. I know you're traveling all over the place still, but you talked about India earlier.
Not right now.
No. But what?
Oh, man, I'm locked down. If I leave China, they won't let me back in.
Well, I know you were like
I'm
two or three countries per day for a while. The other countries that you guys are in,
5 years.
tell us what you're seeing. what do you see in India, Vietnam, other parts of Southeast Asia in terms of the action there for early stage?
Yeah. So the thing. Okay. So I'm gonna go a little macro.
Yeah, please
If
do.
you
Please
don't
do.
mind, and then I can go more granular into what's happening in India. So on the record, off the record, doesn't really matter. Basically, if you're an early stage investor, and you want to invest in internet or consumer, you're pretty much fucked, because you have Google, Facebook, Amazon, 5 Chinese guys, and maybe SoftBank Vision Fund backed companies controlling the internet, right? And so, like right now, at least in our markets, Google and Facebook control 85–90% of the mobile ad business. So you have a customer acquisition cost here, and then you have lifetime value down here, and so you have negative unit economics. And most VCs can do math, and they won't invest in this, right? So all the little startups, no matter how good their product is, it doesn't matter. They'll never really see the light of day, because the big are getting bigger, and they squash the little guys like bugs. So Google, Facebook, Amazon, and the Chinese guys have gotten so big that they're putting pressure on other companies too, bigger companies. So local Indian brands used to control 50% of the Indian smartphone market. They had the distribution, they had the brand, and they were buying shit from China, putting a hardware margin on top, and that was cool. They went in a 2-year period. They went from 50% market share to 4% market share, because Xiaomi, Oppo, OnePlus, basically the Chinese guys came in. Samsung's still holding on to number 2, but barely. They just came in and took over the market, so you're seeing the same thing with telcos. You're seeing the same thing with banks, retail chains, shopping malls, media companies, TV stations. Basically, everybody's getting fucked by big internet. And so my idea 4 or 5 years ago, and it wasn't my idea, I basically copied Xiaomi, is that I partner with anybody who's getting fucked by Google, Facebook, Amazon, 5 Chinese guys, and SoftBank Vision, okay? And say, hey, listen, you don't have a business model anymore. You're basically sitting there still selling hardware on margin, whereas everybody else is giving the hardware away and making money on internet services. So what Mox is we invest in all the internet services, okay? And then we go to the banks, we go to the media companies, we go to the telcos, we go to the handset brands, we'll go to anybody who will work with us and say, if you give us free user acquisition, if you promote our apps for free, where we don't have to pay for the users, we will give you 30% of net revenue lifetime, all revenue streams, okay? And before they wouldn't do this, because it's like, you got to pay me for an ad, screw you, right? But now they're under such pressure that they're like, okay, I'm not, my margin, my traditional business is going away. I don't really have a choice. So we're actually changing the business models. So the biggest example, I'll get into how we actually make money later, but this is a big change. It's a really big change. And Mox, we've invested in 63 companies. And we're all the little buttons. If you open up your phone or open up WeChat, any of these super apps, there's all these different services. So Mox is all the different services. So one of our companies, Travel Flan, we invested last August, okay? They had 0 revenue and 0 users. And then we partnered with a company who's completely screwed. It's called Samsung, okay? So Samsung is a hardware company, and they do not understand the internet to save their fucking lives. And so we partnered with them, and they pre-install Travel Flan on their phone. So we're pre-installed in every Samsung Galaxy, starting from about a month after we invested in Korea.
Wow.
COVID's a bit of a pain in the ass, because we were selling travel services. What this company is really good at is taking traffic and turning it into money, because they have a lot of data, and then they have an AI-driven chatbot, and they can convince a person to buy a hotel and air flights just by chatting with them automatically through the AI. But anyway, so in 5 months, they went from 0 to 40 million users on my 150K check, okay? And from 0 GMV to 2 mil a month. And then COVID happened. So they went to zero, and then now they're already back up to 600K, 2 months later, because now we're just selling makeup on the thing. So think about like what's happening next. You have Starbucks is the app that's pre-installed in Samsung's, right? How does that help Samsung? It doesn't. So we did a test. We sold 12,000 cups of coffee in one day in Korea. So now we're bouncing Starbucks, out of Samsung. We're replacing them with our coffee app. Okay. Our coffee app basically connects into the top local coffee chain in Korea. And now Samsung gets a revenue share on every cup of coffee sold. So we're changing the model fundamentally and making internet work again. And so that's what Mox is. And then if you have any questions, I can stop there, or I can tell you what's happening on a more granular level in India.
Okay.
So
can you go even higher in terms of the
okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in how you guys are looking at the different countries and where you see the potential for the startups. We hear a lot about Vietnam. I'm not sure if you guys are there yet. I know you're in Taiwan. What do you see the other countries' attractiveness for the venture stage?
Yeah, we're kind of going by size.
Size of population.
Vietnam, yeah, basically. So I don't know. I mean, I started investing in Vietnam in 2007 when I was at SoftBank, and it was way too fucking early. It was not we basically I think I got pennies on a dollar back on one company, and the rest are all dead. So it was just way too early. It's a good learning experience, but don't go in too early. So India we think is massive. The one advantage to being old is it's like you're watching TV and you get this sort of sense of deja vu. Hey, I've seen this movie before. So I went to India, started investing in internet in India in 2005 before there were even VCs. I was at Deutsche Bank as a sell-side analyst, and we did 3 deals in India in 2005 in internet. What happened? I started. I did 2 investments starting 4 years ago in India in internet, and nothing was happening. And then 3 major changes happened. The first one, I'll start with the pinky. Yeah, the first big change is that, as you all know, you have cheap smartphones, right? It's like Android, $50, $80, $100, it works, right? Second big change is the internet went from expensive to almost free. This telco Geo, they basically, the cost per gigabit went from like, I don't know, a couple bucks, $3 to 15 cents, almost the cheapest in the world.
Wow.
So you can get a gig a day on your mobile phone for $5 for 3 months, not 1 month, 3 months. So basically internet went to free. And then the third thing is the Indian government put this UPI shit in, universal something. But UPI basically enabled mobile wallet, mobile payment, government supported for the entire population. I mean, they did some demonetization and some other stuff, but basically they enabled mobile payment and it was secure. And so that was a big change in India. And so because we're pretty flexible, I went from 2018, I did 2017, I did 0 deals in India. 2018, I did like maybe 1 deal in India. 2019, I did 17 investments in India. And so far this year, I've done another 8 more. And so I've seen this movie before. There's some changes. This is like, but it's not exactly the same as China, but it's time. And so I've gone in extremely aggressively into India, and that's the biggest market. So I'm kind of following Xiaomi. So Xiaomi went to India first. Second is Indonesia. I got 6 companies in Indonesia. and then kind of going to Vietnam, Malaysia a bit.
Okay.
Philippines
Okay.
is
Makes sense.
not,
Makes
not,
sense.
not, not so yeah. So it's based on size. So the fun thing about India is the Americans or the global internet companies, Google, Facebook, and Amazon got there first, and they're like the entrenched players, and they have a right once, run anywhere approach. So they have the same product, and then they send the same fucking product to the entire world, and they expect people to like it. And then on the Chinese side, they were trying to bring Chinese product to the rest of the world. They failed, and they actually realized that shit, we're really bad at localizing to foreign cultures. So what they did is they took Chinese tech and Chinese money and Indian face, right? So they just invested in a bunch of Indian companies. So this is the first time you're seeing like almost like a hot war, where you have Google, Facebook, and Amazon on one side, and you got Chinese entrepreneurs, Indian entrepreneurs, and some Chinese entrepreneurs like ByteDance and Xiaomi, and then with Chinese money and Chinese tech on the other side, and the battlefield is India. And it's a freaking war. So it's one of the most interesting markets to watch, because all the numbers are up and to the right. And the government just made a Chinese investment into India. They basically said you had to ask for permission from the government to try and slow it down. Yeah, good luck with that. But yeah, it's a fun market.
And this is embarrassing. I've never been to India. I was supposed to be there in April for a 10-day meditation retreat, which obviously didn't happen. But I'd love to follow you in when the market opens up.
For that, if you need an app for that, we started investing in like digital therapeutics.
No, I want to do it in India. I want to do it in India with real people. I don't want to do it overnight. Okay, I'll ask one more question, and then maybe we'll open it for discussion. COVID, your view, maybe your firm's views on COVID's duration of impact, and then how that changes your strategies, if anything. What do you guys see as the? Is this a V thing? Is this a short-term thing? Is this long-term? We don't know. What's your view?
Okay, so we're a cross-border market entry investor and accelerator, and that's really freaking hard when you cannot actually physically cross a border. I thought, like, I'm not so worried about COVID. I mean, COVID, it's pretty bad, but like it's the recession that's happening that people aren't really paying attention to. I mean, the U.S. is like happily printing money, but shipments from China to the U.S. are down 50%. They're in the process of falling another 50%. This recession is going to be bad. So I'm not so much focused on COVID. I'm focused on the recession.
Okay.
And so I think that it's going to be extremely painful, especially for companies that require physical interaction. Like biotech, you kind of need a lab, right? And you can't. It's hard to do social distance. I mean, everybody's got gear on and shit, but so I think it's very difficult. It's going to be a very, very difficult time. And this is where like VCs earn their money, because we're working with our companies, and I'm not the first person to say this, but winning is survival, right? Now on the flip side, everybody knows the biggest gains made by VCs, or basically all investors, are made when they invest in companies during a downturn, because all the weak ones get washed out. There's not that much competition. And it really focuses folks. So we have 835 companies alive in our portfolio. Okay, we're going to lose a large number of them, and it's going to be pretty bad. So we're working very, very hard to help them survive. And I don't know whether that helps. But for internet, I would just say we have 20% of my portfolio, because I'm very heavy in travel, that are pretty much completely fucked. So for travel companies, we have two camps. We have the ones that fired their entire staff in the first week of February and basically are just chilling out until travel starts again. Okay, and then we have Travel Flan, who started selling makeup and has almost backed up to the GMV that it had in January, but selling something else, right? So startups can be a lot more nimble than other companies. And so, but the funny thing is about 50%, 50% of our portfolio is actually benefiting from this. Because I mean, we invest in the internet and there's a lot of people stuck at home. So online education, we had a company 2 weeks ago, they saw 9.6x week-on-week growth without spending any money, 9.6 times week-on-week growth in revenue. And then last week they did another 3.6x on top of that. Now, I mean, they didn't start off with a very big number.
Yeah.
But like, who cares? You know, they went from 55 sales a week to 4,000 sales a week, like in 2 weeks with no marketing spend. And so, you know, so we changed our objectives and key results. So before we wanted our entire portfolio to increase their revenues by 3x, net revenue 3x year on year. And of course, we're investing in more companies, so it's not the greatest measure in the world. It's not apples to apples. But now we added on another OKR, another KR, which is we want to help, you know, half of our portfolio or 20% of our portfolio 5x their revenue this year. Because you know that, and our hardware companies or food companies, like we have like these companies that allow chefs and restaurants to do group dinners in the US and like catering and for entertainment parties. That company is in seriously deep shit because nobody's having catered entertainment at home at all, right? So, and then on the other side, you know, we have the internet portfolio, which will hopefully balance things out a bit. Yeah, so it's being diversified, at least for us, is working out, hopefully. Knock on wood.
Okay, awesome. No, that's good stuff. Listen, I am so impressed with. I mean, it has been a few years, William, but you guys have grown.
Yeah.
It's not just at 30,000.
It's because I'm always in this. I'm in this like shitty office here, so I don't go out anymore. I'm just working and then trying to see my family every once in a while. I haven't seen my family in almost 4 months. They picked New Jersey and Florida as a place to hide from COVID.
Oh, they're in Jersey. I see.
Yeah, not the place that you would choose to go to hide from COVID. Anyway, I told them to come back to Taiwan, go to Taiwan March 8th, and they're like, we like it here. So my wife and daughter,
where are you now?
actually,
You're in Taiwan now, or you're in Shanghai?
You're in Shanghai. I'm in the office. Yeah. People are starting to come in. Yeah, there's people are walking past. So I mean, it's 8:51 a.m. here, but we've been back in the office for 2 months in Shanghai, and I've been back in the office for almost 5 weeks.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll just paraphrase what I learned. You guys are much bigger than when I last saw you. You're like 700 million. I'm sure next time I talk to you, we'll be over $1 billion. You guys have a lot of verticals. It sounds to me like besides the typical internet ones, your food is also kicking ass. Your blockchain, in particular, your BitMEX is kicking ass. You're also all over the place, all over Asia, right? And quite big in India. And it sounds to me like from what I read in your deep tech PPT and a website, you're in all the sexy or all the tech themes.
Yeah.
But your allocation of capital is really partner driven. If the partner kicks ass, then you get more money, right? If the partner doesn't, then it doesn't matter how good the tech is. Right?
Yeah, well, the partner is the vertical. So
yeah.
I mean, no, our bad partners get run out of here pretty quickly. We got rid of one pretty quickly, but like all the other partners are doing pretty well. But yeah, it's vertical driven, and if the vertical is ready, I mean, the early stage startup is 0 or 1, right? It's either going up or it's dead. So it's binary, and it's really fucking obvious to figure out which ones are going up or which one's going down. And then we allocate based on that. So we're a 10+3 fund. So you know, the allocation becomes quite clear. I mean, if
Yeah,
biotech,
yeah.
there was so much money flowing into our companies, okay, fine, rock and roll, you know. But for future food stuff, you know, a little bit slower, starting to really pick up now. But, you know, 5 years later, starting to really pick up. I'm the weird one because I keep on, you know, I was China and all consumer 5 years ago. Now I'm like, I'm China Accelerator is 80% B2B and SaaS across Asia, and I'm doing this Mox, you know, decentralized super app thing that I talked about earlier. So it's yeah, the cool thing about us is we have some flexibility. When we're investing in 150 companies a year, so we could afford to lose a couple.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. Hey, you, Leland, Arun, you guys have any questions for William? I don't want to overstay the time that he's given. He's got actually the full day ahead of him.
Oh, this has been really great. This is Arun. I'm in New Jersey. William, it's still pretty bad out here, so you're better off. You're better off staying where you are and you know, tell your family to be safe out here. So thank you for sharing.
My parents are in New Jersey with my daughter, so they are not leaving their Northwest Jersey. They have 14 acres, and they're just staying put.
Awesome.
There we go.
Oh, he just wanted. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anybody have any questions or?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are open for questions. Hey, William, great to meet you.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah.
My name is Brian Lemster. I just added you on LinkedIn. It looks like we have it says 113 mutual connections, so a lot in common there. Actually, here I'll just put the video on for a minute. I'm actually in Connecticut right now. Here you go. So let's see. Yeah, I'm in Connecticut saying hello. So yeah, I just I have a couple of very interesting opportunities. I actually think that we pitched one of your. So are you guys associated with the Hacks, the hardware accelerator, as well?
Yeah, my colleagues run Hacks. Yeah, okay. So
It's
Hacks
Cyril.
is SOSV.
Yeah, so we actually a colleague of mine and I pitched the Hacks Accelerator. Pretty interesting deal. I don't really want to get into it right here, right now. But, you know, what I'd love to do is maybe schedule a time with you for a call and go through a couple of opportunities. So I'm an angel investor in that as well as a few other things. So I don't know if you
just put my email in here.
Yeah, sure.
Come there.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'll send you an email now. So my main,
and if I don't respond, just send it again. So if I don't respond, just send it again.
Okay.
I don't actually read the email. I got somebody else that does that.
All right, great. Well, just it's very interesting. I mean, one deal is kind of an entire evolution of technology with a wearable component, and another is a kind of a blockchain-based political platform. Yeah. I've been working with a few Congress people and senators in the New York and Connecticut area. So,
Hey, Brian. Yeah,
awesome.
Let's thank you for that, Brian. Let's focus the questions on sort of macro investment questions for William, or just but appreciate that.
Sure.
If nothing else, I know William's got a really. I mean, William, thank you. You're actually. I had to go through several layers to get to you, man. It's easier to get you for poker than for this thing.
Okay. And
thank you.
I do have one question. I do have one more question.
Yeah, sure.
This is actually under Friendier, okay? And this is a live video, okay? So this is what I just came up with about a week ago, okay? To solve the delivery crunch, okay? And I have an investor out of Dubai looking at this, okay? So a delivery bot, okay, which would be a little semi-autonomous vehicle, self-driving, okay, and then you load the food in it, and it has a 3 to 5 mile radius, and basically sell it maybe $500 a pop, and goes in and out of different restaurants and delivers, and then each restaurant could have a delivery bot pod. right? And so then that would sort of solve a lot of the issues in terms of, and to me, speaking about COVID, I think COVID will come in several waves. The Congress people and so forth I've been working with have acknowledged that, and I think for people, let's say for the elderly, right? Even delivering DoorDash or whatever it was. I mean, I don't know that they want to be exposed to that, right? They don't want to be exposed to people coming to their door. Some people aren't even answering their door. So this would be something, and I have somebody prototyping the hardware or whatever else. So I'll say this separately, but I'd just be curious. So what do you think about something like that? What do you think about the delivery
we invested
solution?
In it. It's awesome. So we invested in it, I think, through Hacks. We invested in that 4 or 5 years ago, and then we exited to Amazon. So Amazon bought the company. And
what's the company?
It's like a little robot. It's like it's not my deal. I don't remember.
It's probably
Google it.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Hey, Brian, their website has all their portfolios. The guy that runs it is Cyril, right?
I don't remember the name.
I'll check it out. But all right. Okay.
All right.
Well then.
Cool.
All right. Hey, listen. William's got a hard stop. I'm gonna let you go, William. Thank you so much. Listen, I'm gonna work with you guys.
Thanks, guys.
We'll put this out there and do a summary. Okay, William. Appreciate it. Really appreciate
sounds
it.
good. And thanks for all your
buddy.
time. Hopefully that's interesting. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Please visit Wizards Institute to access the blog summary of today's session, to learn more about other speakers, and to network with other investment wizards. Wizards Institute, the #1 community to learn smart investing and financial freedom.